Whether you're swirling in fruit jam or even adding something unexpected like bacon, these easy tricks will transform your ready-made frosting into something way more exciting. Store-bought frosting is a huge convenience. You can wait for your cake to cool and then smooth it on straight from the tub. But here's the catch. Just because it's ready to use doesn't mean it's at its best that way. One of the most common complaints about canned frosting is that it lacks the airy, fluffy texture you get from making it from scratch.
Frosting?
The good news is this issue is simple to solve. Rather than using the frosting straight from the container, scoop it into a bowl or stand mixer and give it a good whip before spreading. Let it come to room temperature first so it blends more easily. Begin on a low setting, then slowly raise the speed as the texture softens. This helps keep mess to a minimum. As you mix, look for soft, airy peaks forming, which means the frosting is turning smoother and more velvety. If it feels overly thick during the process, mix in a splash of milk or cream to loosen it up a bit. Another issue people run into with store-bought frosting is the limited range of flavors. Thankfully, that's an easy fix too. Whether you plan to whip it or leave it as is, start by scooping the frosting out of the container and into a mixing bowl. This gives you the chance to customize the taste however you like. Vanilla is especially flexible and can be adjusted in countless ways. Once it's in the bowl, try mixing in a few drops of your favorite flavor extract. Just keep a couple of basics in mind as you experiment. Extracts are strong, so a little is plenty. Begin with a small amount, stir thoroughly, and then add more if needed. It also helps to choose flavor combinations that naturally pair well together. Flavor extracts aren't your only option for boosting the taste of store-bought frosting. Fresh citrus works beautifully too. The bright, tangy zest, that thin outer layer of peel, from fruits like lime, lemon, orange, or grapefruit, cuts through the rich, buttery sweetness in a really nice way. Plan on using about 1 to 2 teaspoons of zest per container of frosting. Simply measure it out, stir it in, and mix until everything is evenly combined.
Zesty!
If you want to dial up that citrus flavor even more, try adding a splash of fresh juice along with the zest. Use a juicer to squeeze some from the same fruit you're working with, then mix about 1 to 2 tablespoons into your frosting. Stir until it's fully incorporated, but don't go overboard. You don't want the texture to get runny. If fresh fruit isn't on hand, a bit of bottled lemon or lime juice works just fine. And even a splash of orange juice, pulp or no pulp, can do the trick. Just like citrus zest, spices are an easy way to transform basic frosting into something far more interesting. If you're working with vanilla, try warming spices such as cinnamon, nutmeg, or ground ginger. Cinnamon also pairs nicely with chocolate frosting. You can even mix in blends like pumpkin pie spice or chai spice with either flavor to create a deeper, more complex taste in your dessert. As with any add-in, it's best to go slow. Start with a smaller amount than you think you'll need. Stir it in thoroughly and taste as you go. You can always add more if it needs a boost, but once you've added too much, there's no easy way to fix it. One more way to take canned chocolate frosting up a notch is by adding even more chocolate. After all, it's hard to go wrong with extra of something that already tastes great. It's similar to boosting a boxed chocolate cake mix with added ingredients. Those extras just make everything more indulgent. When it comes to frosting, mixing in more chocolate intensifies the flavor and gives it a richer, more decadent finish once it's spread. Melted chocolate is a perfect addition. Try melting 3 to 4 squares, about 3 to 4 ounces, and slowly fold it into your prepared frosting until smooth. A half cup of melted chocolate chips works just as well. If you want to experiment further, you can stir in some hot cocoa mix or even drizzle in a bit of chocolate syrup for added depth. Extracts can add flavor, but when it comes to fruit, using the real thing makes a big difference. If you want a frosting that tastes fresh and vibrant like strawberry, raspberry, or grape straight from the garden, try upgrading your store-bought frosting with jams or jellies. Start with a container of vanilla frosting and scoop it into a mixing bowl. From there, stir in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of a chunky strawberry jam. If you can, choose a thicker, more concentrated variety. Rather than one that's overly runny or watery, it'll help the frosting hold its structure better. Mix everything thoroughly, then pop the bowl into the fridge for a bit so it can firm up before spreading it onto your cake as usual. You can find cream cheese-flavored frosting at the store, but taking it a step further with real cream cheese makes a noticeable difference. The fresh version brings a richer, silkier texture that the pre-flavored kind can't quite match. Mixing it into canned frosting boosts the creaminess, giving you a smoother, more indulgent result with a fuller, tangier flavor.
Cream cheese.
To begin, portion out roughly 4 to 8 ounces of cream cheese and allow it to soften to room temperature first. This step helps it blend more smoothly and prevents lumps. While you can mix everything by hand, using a stand mixer or a handheld electric mixer works best. It ensures the frosting and cream cheese fully combine into a light, fluffy mixture that spreads easily over cakes. Just mix until everything is evenly incorporated. Going beyond that can make the texture too loose. If you want a similarly rich yet airy result, you can also replace the cream cheese with whipped cream or a whipped topping like Cool Whip. Blend it into the pre-made frosting using a mixer until just combined, taking care not to overwork it. Once mixed, you'll get a soft, airy frosting that's best used right away for spreading and serving. If you're a peanut butter lover, you've probably noticed that ready-made peanut butter frosting is pretty hard to track down in most stores. The good news is you don't need it. You can easily make your own by upgrading a tub of plain vanilla frosting. Just scoop the frosting into a bowl and mix in about 1/4 to a half a cup of your preferred peanut butter. Make sure it's at room temperature so it blends more easily. Then stir it in gradually until everything is fully combined and turns smooth and creamy. While crunchy peanut butter will still work, a creamy version will give you a much more uniform, velvety texture. You can also experiment with other nut butters like almond or cashew, or even spreads like hazelnut. And this idea isn't limited to vanilla frosting. These rich additions pair just as well with chocolate frosting too. When upgrading canned frosting, don't overlook texture. What you add for crunch can be just as important as what you add for flavor. Toasted coconut is a great example because it does both. Once slightly browned, shredded coconut takes on a warm, nutty, caramelized taste, while also adding a pleasant bite that brings extra contrast to the frosting. It's crisp, a little chewy, and packed with that tropical-style richness. Start by adding about 1/2 to 1 cup of coconut to a bowl of frosting and mixing it in thoroughly. You can use toasted shredded coconut, flakes, or even small coconut chips depending on the texture you want. Since coconut is relatively dry, it won't usually thin out the frosting much, so you can adjust the amount based on how chunky you like it. Beyond coconut, there are plenty of other ways to build texture into frosting. Chopped nuts like pecans, almonds, or pistachios add crunch and a roasted flavor. Dried fruits such as raisins, cranberries, or chopped apricots bring chewiness and sweetness. For something a bit more unexpected, you can even fold in granola or crushed pretzels for a sweet and salty crunch when spreading over cakes, cookies, or brownies. Cookies and candies are another easy way to turn basic frosting into something more fun, adding both flavor and texture to whatever you're baking. You can stir in about a 1/2 cup, or even more, into a can of store-bought frosting to give it a major upgrade. Just mix in the crushed add-ins, combine until evenly distributed, let it chill briefly, and then use it as usual. For chocolate desserts, crushed Oreos, chocolate-covered espresso beans, brownie bits, toffee pieces, or chopped chocolate-covered peanuts all work really well. If you're starting with vanilla frosting, try mix-ins like crushed vanilla wafers, sugar cookies, lemon shortbread, graham crackers, or even crumbled ginger snaps. Crushed candies are another rich and colorful option. Use a blender or food processor to break them down into small, fairly even pieces, so the frosting isn't overly chunky. Options like peppermint candy, M&Ms, Skittles, Reese's Pieces, or classic butterscotch candies all add different flavors and crunch. No matter what you choose, aim for a consistent size when crushing so the texture stays balanced. Fold everything in gently and avoid overmixing so the frosting doesn't become dense. If it ever gets too thick to spread, a small splash of milk, juice, or another liquid can help loosen it back up. Finally, when you're looking for a bold way to elevate store-bought frosting, don't overlook bacon. It has a way of adding a savory, smoky twist that can make even sweet desserts more interesting.
Yeah, but bacon tastes good.
Adding cooked crumbled bacon to frosting is a great way to create that classic salty-sweet contrast many people love. It brings a smoky, savory edge that can make an otherwise standard dessert feel a lot more dynamic and surprising. Bacon works especially well with both vanilla and chocolate frosting. To make it, start with about 4 to 6 strips of bacon, cook them until crisp, and crumble them into small pieces. Then fold the bacon into your frosting until it's evenly distributed. Make sure the pieces are well drained. Blotting them with a paper towel helps remove extra grease so it doesn't affect the texture. You can also sprinkle a few extra crumbles on top of cakes, cupcakes, or brownies for added crunch and presentation. Since this includes meat, the finished dessert should be refrigerated rather than left out at room temperature for long periods. If you don't have fresh bacon, a pinch of bacon-flavored salt or even store-bought bacon bits can provide a similar, though milder effect.